In May 2025, Stanford University announced that Elon Musk would be the keynote speaker for its commencement ceremony, setting off a wave of excitement across the campus. Students, faculty, and parents eagerly anticipated words of wisdom from the billionaire entrepreneur behind Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. The invitation was seen as a perfect choice. Who better to inspire a generation of graduates stepping into an uncertain job market than a man who had revolutionized multiple industries? As the ceremony approached, the energy on campus was electric. The Stanford Stadium buzzed with anticipation as 5,000 graduates, clad in crimson robes and mortarboards, took their seats on a sunlit afternoon. Family members and friends filled the stands, cameras in hand, ready to capture the moment their loved ones would walk across the stage. Among the graduates was Sarah Kim, the class valedictorian, who had spent weeks preparing her own speech about resilience and ambition. She hoped Musk would offer practical advice, perhaps something about navigating career setbacks or making a meaningful impact. Meanwhile, Jake Lopez, a computer science major and self-proclaimed Musk disciple, had one wish: for Elon to drop an outlandish, mind-bending idea that would shake up conventional thinking. Finally, the moment arrived. The Stanford dean stepped up to the microphone and, after a brief introduction, welcomed Elon Musk to the stage. The audience erupted into applause as the tech mogul approached the podium. Dressed in his usual understated black jacket and dark jeans, Musk looked slightly out of place among the sea of formal academic robes. He adjusted the mic, glanced at the crowd, and with a small smirk, delivered a textbook opening line. "Congratulations, class of 2025. The crowd cheered. Parents clapped, students hooped, and for a brief moment, it felt like any other commencement speech. But no one in the stadium had any idea that what would follow would be one of the most bizarre, unforgettable, and controversial graduation speeches in Stanford's history. At first, Elon Musk followed the usual script, offering a few remarks about perseverance, risk-taking, and the importance of embracing failure. But within minutes, he began straying from the conventional commencement speech. His voice took on an almost conspiratorial tone as he leaned forward slightly and said, "You're all graduating into a simulation. Yes, a simulation." A few chuckles rippled through the crowd, students exchanging amused glances, expecting him to clarify that it was a joke. But Musk didn't smile. Instead, he began pacing across the stage, his excitement growing. "Think about it," he continued, gesturing animatedly. "The probability that we're in base reality is 1 in billions. Which means, your degrees, this ceremony, even the people you call your parents, just lines of code in a hyper-advanced computer simulation." The laughter faded into uneasy murmurs. Parents shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some students exchanged wide-eyed glances, unsure whether to be fascinated or concerned. The engineering majors, however, were thrilled. Several hooped and clapped, fully engaged in Musk's deep dive into simulation theory. Sensing the divided reactions, Musk doubled down. "If this is all a simulation, then your diplomas are just cheat codes. Why play by the rules when you can rewrite them?" A few scattered cheers erupted from the audience, mostly from the tech crowd, but many students and faculty members simply stared in confusion. Sarah Kim, sitting in the front row, whispered to her friend, "Is this actually happening?" Meanwhile, Jake Lopez sat up straighter, captivated. And then Musk took things even further. He began discussing humanity's future, not in terms of career paths or personal growth, but in terms of survival. He warned that artificial intelligence would soon surpass human intelligence, urging graduates to consider radical solutions. "We need to get off this planet," he declared. "You, the class of 2025, should be the first generation to colonize Mars within the next decade. That's the real mission." Parents frowned, and some students exchanged skeptical glances. Musk, seemingly oblivious, pressed on. "And we're going to need more than just engineers. We'll need writers to document our new civilization, farmers to grow food in Martian soil, artists to create culture on another planet." Few nods of agreement. Perhaps, after all, He was about to steer things back to something inspirational. But just as quickly as hope arose, Musk veered back into the bizarre. He launched into a 10-minute tangent about Neuralink brain implants, calling them the key to human evolution. Then, scanning the audience with a serious expression, he asked, "Who here wants to merge with AI right now? Raise your hand." The stadium fell into stunned silence. After a long pause, a handful of students, mainly from the computer science department, hesitantly raised their hands. Others whispered among themselves, some nervously laughing, others visibly uncomfortable. By this point, members of the faculty were exchanging alarmed looks. Parents looked on in disbelief. Some graduates were furiously typing on their phones, live tweeting the surreal spectacle. And yet, Elon Musk carried on unaware, or perhaps indifferent to the chaos he was creating. As Elon Musk's speech spiraled further into absurdity, the audience grew increasingly divided. Some students were mesmerized, hanging on to his every word, while others sat frozen in disbelief. The parents, meanwhile, were shifting uncomfortably, exchanging worried glances, as if collectively questioning whether they had chosen the wrong university for their children. Then, Musk delivered his grand finale, one final declaration that sent the ceremony completely off the rails. Forget about getting a job. Build a Dyson sphere around the sun instead. That's the real final exam. A stunned silence blanketed the crowd. Several professors visibly cringed. Some students broke into nervous laughter, unsure if he was joking or dead serious. Even the loudest Musk fanatics were momentarily caught off guard. Sarah Kim buried her face in her hands. "This can't be real," she muttered. Meanwhile, Jake Lopez sat at the edge of his seat, eyes shining. "That's genius," he whispered, pulling out his phone to take notes. By the time Musk gave an awkward nod and stepped away from the podium, there was only a scattered round of applause, mostly from the engineering and tech students who had been fully on board with the speech. The rest of the stadium remained eerily quiet, as though still processing what had just happened. But the silence wouldn't last long. Within minutes, clips of the speech began circulating on social media. By the time the ceremony ended, hashtags like #MuskMeltdown and #glitch in the graduation were trending worldwide. A viral TikTok featured Musk pacing the stage, captioned, "When your graduation speaker tells you your diploma is a cheat code in the simulation." A meme on Twitter showed a bewildered student with a caption, "Me trying to explain to my parents why Elon Musk just told me to move to Mars instead of getting a job." News outlets picked up the story at lightning speed. CNN ***, Elon Musk delivers the strangest commencement speech in history. Forbes ***, inspiration or insanity. Musk's speech sparks debate. The Verge ***, forget career advice. Elon Musk just assigned homework on building a Dyson sphere. Commentators on both sides of the spectrum weighed in. Some called it a brilliant, thought-provoking challenge to conventional thinking. Others deemed it a tone-deaf, disconnected rant that left graduates more confused than inspired. Stanford's administration scrambled to contain the fallout. The university president issued a carefully worded statement, calling Musk's speech unconventional but thought-provoking. It did little to stop the wave of reactions. By nightfall, late-night talk show hosts had already turned it into comedy gold. Elon Musk at Stanford today. Forget about jobs. Build a Dyson sphere instead. Class of 2025. Sir, I majored in English literature. Jimmy Fallon. Meanwhile, on Twitter, Musk himself responded to the controversy in classic Musk fashion. "If my speech didn't make you uncomfortable, you weren't paying attention. Comfort is the enemy of progress." His tweet racked up millions of likes, but it did little to calm the confusion of thousands of newly minted Stanford graduates who had been expecting career advice and instead walked away with existential questions about simulation theory and interstellar engineering. The morning after the speech, as the dust began to settle, the graduates of Stanford's class of 2025 found themselves divided into two camps, those who felt Musk had completely wasted their time and those who saw his words as an invitation to think beyond the ordinary. Sarah Kim, still clutching her diploma, scrolled through the endless stream of social media reactions, shaking her head. "I was hoping for real advice on navigating the job market," she muttered to her friend. Not a sci-fi TED Talk. She had spent years preparing for this moment, perfecting her resume, attending networking events, and carefully plotting her career path. Now, instead of feeling motivated, she just felt lost. What am I supposed to do with build a Dyson sphere? Meanwhile, Jake Lopez had an entirely different reaction. Still buzzing with excitement, he had already started sketching ideas in his notebook. "I don't get why people are mad," he said. "Musk is right. We shouldn't just settle for some corporate 9-to-5 job. We should be thinking bigger. Screw resumes. I'm applying to SpaceX." Across campus, different groups of students debated the speech's impact. Some argued that it was a missed opportunity. Musk could have used his platform to give practical career advice instead of launching into theories about simulations and space colonization. Others felt inspired, believing that the core message was about pushing boundaries and rethinking human limitations. A third group simply found it hilarious, turning the whole thing into an endless stream of memes and inside jokes. One student, Emily Chen, a digital arts major, decided to lean into the chaos. She spent the next 24 hours creating a viral animation of Musk dressed as Morpheus from The Matrix, handing out diplomas like they were red pills. The video blew up, accumulating millions of views. "This speech was ridiculous, but at least it gave us some good content," she laughed. Back in the real world, the media frenzy refused to die down. Every major news outlet was still running opinion pieces, and analysts were debating whether Musk had delivered a genius challenge to conventional thinking or had completely lost touch with reality. Through it all, Musk remained unfazed. Instead of apologizing or clarifying his remarks, he doubled down, tweeting, "In 10 years, half of you will be working on space travel, AI, or neural interfaces. The other half will still be mad about this speech." The tweet set off another firestorm of reactions, with some people praising his boldness and others rolling their eyes at his arrogance. But one thing was clear. The speech had left an impact. At the same time, something unexpected started happening. A group of engineering and physics graduates, including Jake, had created an online forum to discuss Project Dyson, brainstorming ways to develop futuristic energy solutions inspired by Musk's speech. What had started as a joke was now turning into a real project, with members reaching out to investors and researchers for support. Even Sarah, despite her initial frustration, found herself reflecting on Musk's words. A week later, while considering a safe but uninspiring corporate job offer, she hesitated. "Maybe I should take a risk," she thought. Whether people loved it or hated it, Musk's speech had done something no one expected. It had made them think differently. Months after the now infamous speech, the chaos of #MuskMeltdown had finally died down, but its impact lingered in ways no one could have predicted. Jake Lopez's Project Dyson had grown from a half-serious post-graduation idea into a legitimate startup. What started as a group chat of engineering graduates tossing around wild theories about space-based solar power had caught the attention of a venture capitalist who saw potential in their ambition. With seed funding secured, Jake and his team were suddenly standing on the edge of real innovation. "We might not build an actual Dyson sphere," he admitted in an interview, "but we're developing new energy solutions inspired by the idea." And honestly, none of this would have happened without that speech. Meanwhile, Sarah Kim, who had initially felt so let down by the speech, found herself unexpectedly influenced by Musk's words. Despite her frustration, she couldn't shake the idea that maybe she had been thinking too small. Instead of settling for the first safe corporate job she was offered, she took a riskier path, accepting an internship at a startup that focused on AI-driven sustainability solutions. 6 months later, it led to a full-time position at her dream company. Looking back, she realized, as ridiculous as that speech was, it did push me to take a leap I wouldn't have taken otherwise. By the following year, Stanford had opted for a far more traditional commencement speaker, a renowned economist who delivered a polished, practical speech on the future of the job market. It was well received but utterly forgettable. Musk's speech, on the other hand, had become a legend. It was still debated in classrooms, referenced in late-night dorm discussions, and quoted ironically in student presentations. Clips from the speech continued circulating online, turning Musk's bizarre declarations into timeless memes. "Forget jobs. Build a Dyson sphere," had become a running joke among Stanford graduates, a phrase that captured both the absurdity and unexpected brilliance of the moment. For some, it was the worst commencement speech in history. For others, it was a challenge to think beyond the ordinary. But one thing was undeniable. It had made an impact.